Manchester United open up official talks to try to sign the Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba. It's on, it's active, it's possible. It's said that it's difficult, but do you believe? Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribing. This is the Done Deal Show. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. David Ornstein has confirmed that Manchester United, via intermediaries, are exploring the conditions of Carlos Baleba. Brighton do not plan to sell this summer. They are very steadfast on that. And all sides are aware it may be an unrealistic move, but United are keen and should know in the coming days if it is plausible or not. A big update here from one of the first people to break it. A big Cameroon Tier 1 journalist says that Man United have officially contacted Brighton today regarding the recruitment of Carlos Baleba. Brighton have agreed to let him leave for the right price, but it won't be less than 100 million euros. Also, from L'Equipe, they claim that Manchester United are in pole position to sign Carlos Baleba. United have contacted Brighton and will find out the conditions of the deal. There's been a further update from this journalist here, Martin Mb, who has said that Brighton have agreed to open discussions with Manchester United to sell him as well. But of course, it's going to be a big transfer fee if this deal is to get done. This is massive. We're talking about our midfield on Straight Facts a few hours ago, and what we've been made to believe so far is United don't have the money to go for anybody over expensive. Now, Ornstein has confirmed that in his article. He has said, and he has stated that for Manchester United to be able to pull this deal off, they're going to have to sell. They're going to have to raise money. There is no doubt about that. United will have to raise money. But it doesn't mean we have to raise the money before we buy the player. Because if we do believe we'll get 30, 40 million pounds for Garnacho, if we think we can come to a resolution with Malacia and with Anthony and with Jadon Sancho, if we believe that's going to happen, we can kick the can down the street, for want of a better expression. But I love this ambition from Manchester United. I love this approach from Manchester United. And this is moving seriously. Now, I heard what Goldbridge was saying before I went live, and I totally get his point. I totally get his point that this is what we should be doing. And he's absolutely right. What I am going to say is I just don't put the Glazers and INEOS into the same bracket. I understand the notion of keeping them here, but this is only their second summer. It's only their first with their own manager in terms of building this. And if we go and pull this deal off, then add a goalkeeper. Look, we're not talking about winning the league. We're not talking about being one of the best teams around, but we will have strengthened our midfield significantly. Still need more work being done. We'd have given ourselves a fighting chance of success this year by adding excellent attackers that score goals. And what a way to start Ruben Amorim's first full season off. It removes excuses about progression. It gets the fans excited, and it demonstrates that these owners really do care about getting us back up near the top. It really does demonstrate that we are trying to get better. Doesn't mean we should roll over and have our bellies tickled. Doesn't mean we shouldn't take our foot off their neck. Doesn't mean we shouldn't keep demanding more and again and again and again until we get back to the top. We spend too much money. We pay too much in wages. We're far too big to just rest on our laurels there. But overall, this for me is absolutely huge. This is fantastic. This is massive in every single which way. And as a United fan, this is how I want to see us moving. You know, we've passed up on opportunities for excellent players in the past, like Caicedo, who was also at Brighton. The irony in there is massive. Baleba is the type of player that we should be scouting and finding before he's the Baleba that we all know. And I suppose we're doing that with Kone's and Obi's and Diego Leon's, and we've got to do more of it. But this is a deal that if we can afford to do it, I like Hackney. I like Adam Wharton. I like these other players who are potentially cheaper. Hackney definitely is. But Baleba is a next level talent. You know it. I know it. This would be huge. Look, I want to know what you think, what you feel. I want to thank everyone that's come over that's here from the Football Terrace, everyone that came over from the United stand as well. Big up to yourselves. We appreciate that. Loads here at the Football Terrace. And both communities merging together amazingly. And that's what we want in the fan channel space. But I couldn't believe it. And the biggest shock of all of this is Indy. Indy, 5-10 years ago, was literally a troll account that made things up. Now he's getting these flowers from David Ornstein. There's something mad about that. I suppose once you've built a big following, people want to get the news out through you, don't they? And it's an outlet, and they've done that. But I saw it from Indy. I then saw it from these kind of journalists from Cameroon. I didn't think anything of it. But okay, well, no, I did. I was like, okay, I don't want to get carried away. Then I saw it from L'Equipe. And I thought, hang on a minute. L'Equipe are printing this. There might be something in this now. And then I saw the Ornstein. Someone put it in my group chat, and I thought, it's a troll account. It's real. Then I saw Fabrizio. It's real. And there's a long way to go. We're going to find out in the coming days. And Ben Jacobs is also updated on this as well. I'm going to read you out what Ben Jacobs has had to say in relation to this deal. Let's have a little read of it here. 1 second, people. Man United are not the only club interested in Baleba. Liverpool and Arsenal are also making inquiries as well. So that's an interesting one. That wasn't from Ben Jacob. That is from L'Equipe. So I'm just sharing one thing here. I'm going to get out what Ben Jacobs has had to say about this. I'm also watching the Arsenal game at the same time. It's been I love the transfer window, man. He says, Man United have held talks with Carlos Baleba. Held talks for Carlos Baleba, as revealed on the United stand last week. Brighton's position remains they want to keep Baleba for at least one more year. United's interest is genuine, not an easy deal to do this summer. And as we said, listen, I'm glad it's trended now, but yes, another Jacobs cracker that he has put out there. And he just take Ben seriously when he says keep an eye out for things. Talks have happened because so far this summer there's been so much truth surrounding it. But what do you all think and feel? Do you see this deal happening? Do you see this deal getting over the line? Do you see this deal going full fruition? Let me know. I need to know. I need to know what you think and feel here. This says, get in Terrace, my son, Baleba in. Marty, listen, man, I hope this happens. I hope we get him. I hope he becomes our player because he's serious, mate. He's absolutely serious. Let's not kid ourselves. I want this like any other fan, but he ain't leaving and we don't have more money. This is just to get fans excited for a while. No, I disagree. I don't think we operate the way we did this summer. Yes, I would have liked deals faster. I don't believe they just put this out there for the sake of it. I just don't believe they do it. We're not operating like that anymore. We've got football people running us. Not INEOS. They're not football people. Barada, Wilcott, and Vivell. I don't think they allow this to come out in this way without being serious. Now, what has been said is that the deal's difficult. We'll know in the next few days if it's possible. So this is going to run for a day or two and then we'll see. But I think pre-season's changed some minds. I think we've looked at this squad pre-season and gone, look what Arsenal were doing. Look what City have done. Look what Liverpool were doing. They're going to pull further away. Pre-season, the manager kept on saying, we need legs, we need legs, we need legs. And you won't find very many better ball progressors and carriers of the ball in the Premier League than Baleba for the price that you're looking at as well. So I sort of look at it myself and think United are looking at this. For me personally, RK12. I think Man United are looking at this. I think Man United are going to push for this. It will be relying on sales, on knowing we're going to get sales in. Let's see what Chelsea do with Garnacho, because there's talk of personal terms being close to there. Remember, if you sell Garnacho for 40 million, that's 40 million we can show on the book straight away. We're not, whatever we buy Baleba for, 75, 85 million they're talking, you don't pay that all up front. So I do think it is plausible and possible. As a Liverpool fan, I don't care if you lot buy Mbeumo or Šeško. It literally doesn't bother me. But if you get Baleba, that's a big move. It's massive, and it would be beyond for this summer. I didn't think we'd have the facilities for it. We've got the pool. Everyone knows United. We don't have to. We've seen the news. Have you seen the news today about Paul? Newcastle United offered more salary to to Šeško than we did. We also know that the Newcastles and the Tottenhams made bigger bids into Brentford for the player, and we still got him. Newcastle made a bigger bid for Šeško and we still got him. I'm loving the way we're operating. That, for me, is a difference. And some will say, I'm not going to thank the club. I'm not going to praise the club for doing what it should be doing. And I understand that logic, but I'm happy we're operating in a much better, more efficient way. So, and I also think there's part of the strategy here, and I'd love to get your opinions on this. I think part of the strategy here is to try and to go a little public, is to see if we can force Baleba's hand. Maybe Baleba gets a call now from his mum and his dad, from his family, from his agent, and says, hang on a minute. Brighton's been great to you, but this is Manchester United, beginning of a rebuild, exciting new attacking team. There's something in that for me that I want to see. I want to see how that turns out. Adam here says, if we get Baleba, Šeško, Mbeumo, Cunha, and Donnarumma, or another goalkeeper, this window is automatically 100% and bring on the season. I'm a goddamn believer. I mean, the songs would be amazing, won't they? The songs, Old Trafford is very, very creative when it comes to songs, and this would be no different. This would be no different. It'll get a banging song of some sort. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, we're just watching some of the football then. Oh, that was some good play. Let's do some more of your comments here. 80 million plus 10 will do the deal, just like I said about Šeško. And you could be right, Mr. Reddy. And let's try it, Man United. Let's try it. Let's try and get it done. Let's try and get it over the line. Joseph here says, United are cooking this season. They are not joking. Man, we have been... We've been very good in terms of the profiles. The speed is an issue, and we haven't improved on the sales. That's why I couldn't give it a 10 out of 10 window. I wouldn't be able to do that. But I like the way we've conducted ourselves. I like the way we've negotiated. I love the profiles of players that we're going for. And something I spoke about so much last... And by the way, all of the players we're signing raise our technical floor, which is key. But what we're also focusing on, which was ignored so much last year, is we just didn't have legs. The 4 players, if we could pull this off that we're adding, they had so much more speed, power, and athleticism. That is a game changer for Manchester United in every single way, shape, and form. Terry, forget Baleba, get Hayden Hackney. Love Hayden Hackney. I haven't changed my mind. What did I say? The 3 midfielders I want us to buy. If someone said to me now, with Mainu staying, what midfielders do you want to control that midfield through? This is what I want to see. These 4 players. Mainu stay, Baleba, Hackney, Wharton. So yeah, I don't care which one. I prefer Baleba first, but yeah, I want them all, mate. I want them all. That's not banter. Yeah, I've also seen this news that says Brighton have agreed to open discussions with Manchester United and sell Baleba. This is what you've got to remember about Brighton. Brighton are a selling club. It is part of their business model to sell. It is part of their approach to sell players. Nothing's changed in relation to that. So from my point of view and perspective, a deal is always possible with Brighton if they're willing to do the right price. Now, what seems to have changed since that last update that we spoke about with Mo earlier on today is what we were hearing then was this kind of notion of one sec, people, I've got to send a message. What we were made to believe then was this sort of notion of it'd be 120, 100 plus million, unaffordable. And if we could just about get to 80, 85, there's no way we're getting to 120. So if that was the situation, then you move on and you pivot to somebody else. But if Man United are looking at our finances and we're like, look, we've got these 2 or 3 sales lined up. We're going to get this done. That's going to give us X. We could probably just about afford that. We might need to, get a quick snap sale through at the end of the season. Maybe we have to do another post-season tour to raise 10 million quid, but we can find a way of being PSR compliant. And in fact, maybe we're not even worried about PSR. Maybe we look at it and say, we'll take the risk of a small points deduction if we slightly break it, but we can't keep letting our opponents pull further away from us. Let's see what the strategy there is. But from my point of view and perspective, I think this is on. I think this is doable. I think this can happen. And right now, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe I'm going to have egg on my face, but I don't care. Let's get this done, Manchester United. Let's get this done. We've got one thing for the first time we haven't had in 13 years, a manager that is going to be regimented in how he plays, that's ruling with an iron fist, who is being backed by his board. We know that because of the 5 that have not been allowed back, the 5 that he's been allowed to move out because they're not good enough or don't work hard enough or they've got attitude problems or they clash together. Give me these top quality players, but the right profiles, exactly what we need. Let's go, Man United. Terry, do you think Baleba and Mainu would work in a midfield too? Yes, I do. Baleba, when you look at Baleba, if you look at, again, watching with your, I was reading about this, I was writing, I didn't read about it. I was writing something about him the other day, writing down notes. And when you watch Baleba play, he's a little different to, he's a little different to Mainu in the way he does things. He's a better passer of the ball. But his progressive passing is good. I think it could be better, but his ball carrying is brilliant and he's press resistant. And what you need in the midfield, Mainu needs a partner next to him who's press resistant. Or the new phrase I've heard around that is you don't want a midfield partner that's a press trigger, the person everybody piles around. You need someone that can help bring him into the game. But when you look at his defensive attributes, you look at his tackling, you look at his interceptions, you look at his blocks, clearances. Defensively, he is in the top 90 plus percentile all the way around. All the way around. There are areas I'd want to see improve. I want to see his pass completion, get that a little bit, like improve a little bit more. But I think it would with better players around him in a regimented system. And we know he can play well in a regimented system because he's had that since he's been a Brighton player. So I'm watching a bit of football here at the same time because I can multitask. Oh, that was nearly a great goal. So I really like him. Do I think they can play together? Yes. But Man United will have, it's not about, I wouldn't think about it in the short term, Sam. I think about it in the longer term. As I said to Mo earlier, nothing fixes our midfield this summer. It's going to take a couple of summers of purchases to completely fix our midfield and get the balance right across the board. We have this here says we have people that realize that if we are successful on the pitch, it translates into off the field success and more revenue. Exactly. The one thing I used to annoy me about the Glazers, as much as they've made loads of money, I always used to think if you had better people running the club the last 13 years, you'd have made even more money. That's the crazy part about it. Like, and I don't want them making more cash out of us. I don't want them to benefit from us any more than they already have. But if they're going to make loads of money out of us, they can at least make us win at the same time. Would you swap Mainu to get the deal done? No, I don't want Mainu leaving. Would I sell Bruno Fernandes to get the deal done? As long as we're going to also bring in some more creativity. Yeah, potentially. Hey, Terry, I believe they are going to get Baleba. I hope you're right, my friend. I hope you are spot on. And then I saw his face, and now I'm a believer. Not a trace, no doubt in my mind. I'm in love. Ooh, I'm a believer. I couldn't leave. Oh, are they going to score again here, Villarreal? Oh, they have 3-1 Villarreal. Arsenal getting slapped, you know. Slapped score-wise anyway. If we get him, why not Donnarumma money-wise? Money-wise, Donnarumma is probably not an issue. That is in transfer fee. The salary could absolutely be an issue. The salary could be a big, major, hugely problematic situation. But we can't get away from that. That could be absolutely massive. Absolutely massive in every single which way. 1 second. So I just got to send a quick message. Absolutely massive. Absolutely huge in every single which way. But can we do it? Yeah, the wages would be absolutely huge. Sorry, I lost what I was thinking about then. I went back to saying something I said at the start. My brain tripped. Yeah, we could get him. It's the salary I worry about. How much he wants and why does he want to join us? I do wonder if this means Mainu will be leaving. Bruno isn't. Casemiro is definitely staying this season. Ugarte is only a season in. If you sold Moreno, Mainu, you'd get money because he's such a prospect. You know, I don't want to see him go. I am concerned about it, though. I am concerned about it because, how do I say this in the right way? So far, under this manager in this system, it hasn't really worked for Kobe. And maybe, and this is the food, I don't want to see this happen. I really want to see him be a success. But maybe there is a train of thought that he's really talented and valuable, but he's not going to work for us. You know? That would make some sense. If the club look at it and say he just isn't going to work, he doesn't have the athleticism to do what we need him to, or he's a good passer in like tight spaces, but he's not a brilliant passer of the ball. Maybe our view is cash in on him now, and that'd make me a little sad that it hasn't worked out. But that is plausible. It is plausible. Is there any reason why we haven't heard anything about Edison from Atalanta for a cheaper alternative? His attributes are what we are looking for. I hear you. Look, we haven't heard much about any midfielder until today. This is probably the biggest update we've had. It is the biggest update we've had all summer on what Manchester United may or may not do in their midfield. And I think that is highly significant. It is. We are going to... One thing's for sure. I think there's one thing, and I didn't even think about this until your super chat, Mason, so thank you. I think there's one thing that's for sure. I think there's one thing now that we can bank on. I think there's one thing now that is almost a guarantee. We are probably going to buy a midfield player. We are probably going to buy a midfield player. Because you wouldn't make this inquiry and go, 85 million is a little bit too much, and then buy no one. Because there must be a number of, I would say, if you fast forward 2 years, end of the summer transfer window 2027, I guarantee you our midfield looks completely different to what it does today. Which means there's going to be a number of midfielders on the list. It means there's going to be a number of midfield players, and we'll add new players to it because people emerge, people improve. So the fact we're going to do that, if we could potentially pivot to another, could be Adam Wharton. It could, like I said, it could be Hackney. Now, I know that, some Mo earlier didn't want to talk about him because he didn't know anything about him. I think he's brilliant. Maybe we go, it's cheaper. It's one of our top players. We can start developing him, and we'll look at Baleba at another time. Maybe we make European football again this year. Just throwing it out there as a train of thought, and that extra money, another year. Because again, we're going to have a massive year of savings because those 400 odd redundancies are gone for the whole year rather than halfway through the season. The wage bill is going to be about 60 million a year lower than it's been before. So that's 60 million extra that you're going to have that wasn't there this year because those cuts came too late. Tens of millions through other areas. Ticket prices, again, none of these things are nice, but we have to understand the financial impact. The ticket prices have gone up. That's going to generate more revenue. The expenditure on match days will stay the same. It isn't as though we need more stewards and more food and more. So there is going to be even more money next year. So we have to be prudent with the money. We have to be thrifty at times. That certainly must happen in my view. But yeah, Mason, great super chat there, my friend. Alan here says, hey, bro, why do you think they are not going for Ruben's players? Hoyland, and others sporting players, maybe not who he wants. Look, I've seen some people suggest this might be because of what happened with Ten Hag and all of that stuff. Let me just say this now. That's not it. Because we wanted Victor Gyökeres. So we made an inquiry. We couldn't get him. We tried to do that, etc., 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 etc. Why are we not buying them? I think it's physicality. I think what Ruben Amorim has realized, and our scouts already knew, Vavel knows, Wilcott knows, that a lot of the players in that Portugal team, because Portuguese football is quite technical, but do they have the physicality to thrive at the highest level of the Premier League? I'll give an example of a player like that. We bought him many years ago for Van Gaal, Daley Blind. I think in the Eredivisie, would kill it. I think in Portugal, he'd kill it. He came to the Prem. He was excellent on the ball. He was just probably half a yard or two too slow and a few kilos too light. Not quite powerful enough. You take Daley Blind as a technical footballer and add an extra few kilos of weight and power and add an extra few miles an hour of speed and acceleration, and you are talking about a whole different football player. So I personally think it's that, my friend. How far can we go? Hopefully a few sales. How far can we go? I mean, look, financially, I don't know is the answer to that. I don't know is the answer because I didn't think we'd go this far without more sales, but we obviously have. And I don't think we make the inquiry unless we have some kind of money available. I don't think we do that, if that makes sense. So yeah. Now Blind wasn't very underrated, Marcus. You're absolutely right. He was underrated, but you hear my point. It's not so much about him being overrated or underrated. It's more about it's more about the rest of it. You know, he's a very good technical player. Bear in mind, Casemiro is out of contract next summer as well. Could be a rare case of thinking ahead. Yeah, look, I think if we could find a buyer for Cas today, we'd do it. The ideal solution for Man United right now would be the Saudis come in and go, there's 40 million, there's 20 million pound for Casemiro. You get 350 odd thousand pound off your wages. You get a bit of income that covers his costs, and you'd probably be able to then take that money and invest it. What we'd be saving in salary, you could probably go, right, that's a bit of the first year's payments for the player. Yeah, that's what you could probably do. I think we will fund Baleba with Højlund and Garnacho. It's a fair point. It's a fair point that there are opportunities as well for us. There are definitely opportunities as well. Yeah. Big up everyone who's tuning in, by the way. If you haven't hit the like button yet, get that done for us. Very, very important indeed that you hit the like button, that you make sure you're subscribing, that you get your bell notification buttons turned on. KJ is joining me on the show now to have his say with this massive news that has broke. Huge news that has broke. Once a big thank you to everyone who's super chatted as well. You're absolutely amazing. Very, very generous people. So I appreciate that a lot. But KJ, brother, none of saw this one come in. It's very early days. Talk to me.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I got a message from someone I know who knows people, and he said Baleba at like 4 o'clock.
Is that to do with a certain podcast you do work for?
No, it's not. Okay. It's not to do that one.
Okay.
But he said Baleba, and I was like, "There's no way." You know, I mean, there's no way. And he said, "No, they're looking to try." And then a few hours later, an hour or two later, hour and a half, boom, flipping Ornstein. Now, when you see tweets from people like Indicator, who's obviously a kind of an in the know meme kind of person on Twitter, who he gets a lot of crap for his information. When you see those tweets, and maybe tweets from journalists and reports from journalists you don't understand, or you don't really know, you don't really seen them before, and they pop with this news, it's easy to dismiss. I was even like, you know what, it just sounds like a bit of hogwash. It's nah, like there's no way. But when Ornstein is dropping the bomb, and when Fabrizio is dropping the bomb, you know it's real. And you know what's funny, Terry? Even Ornstein quoted and tagged Indicator,
I know,
which is crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, like the ambition that Man United are showing right now is somewhat validating. It's certainly validating for people like us, Terry. Now, if we get him, that's a different conversation altogether, because even Ornstein said that we are just trying to explore if there's a chance for us to do a deal this summer. Both parties probably feel like it's unrealistic this year, but they're going to try.
Yeah.
But we have sat here on many streams. We've had many conversations in group chats for the entire past year about INEOS and their plan for Man United and their vision for Man United and how it's going to be bad and how they're awful and how they don't know what they're doing, how they're not going to make the right moves or take the right risks to get Man United back on top. We're only going to sign youngsters. We're only going to sign cheap players. We're just going to be crap. Because INEOS don't know what they're doing. In the space of a month, we've gone from screaming that flipping Mbeumo isn't here and we're flipping shambles to now signing Sesko and looking into signing Baleba. To me, that shows that they've always had a plan. The plan has not gone smooth. I'm not going to sit here and say it has. It hasn't gone smooth, but they've always had a plan. So I think Man United fans should at least let these guys land before we start melting down about everything. Because we were melting down from the 1st June. When June came, after Cunha, the meltdowns was just beginning.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin meltdowns, Ndidi meltdowns.
And JJ saying, don't ride your horse yet. I'm not saying that everything's perfect with INEOS. They've still got stuff to prove. They've still got to see if we, in a full season, can we actually progress with this manager and this squad? Can they continue to make the right decisions moving forward? This is going to be a big financial burden on Manchester United, by the way. So can they handle that? Can they deal with that financial burden that's going to come in the next year, 2, 3 years because of this kind of spending? So I'm not saying that they are perfect. I'm not saying that you're wrong to not want them. But what I'm saying is that there's certain people that have not even given them a chance to show if they're good or bad. They've made mistakes, but every ownership does. You know, they've made wrong decisions, but every ownership does.
It's very funny you say that, because I had a Chelsea fan in one of my comments earlier on today. I was reading through comments, and he went, "Do you know what's crazy about my club?" He said, "Literally 4 months ago, I wanted Clear Lake gone." He goes, "I've fallen in love with them now." And there is a fickleness in football fans, and I'd love this Baleba deal to happen. One of the biggest reasons is I'd love to turn around to Staffy and say, "You should have probably stayed patient, shouldn't you?" No, but again, this is why it's okay to not be patient, because you just get to join in and celebrate anyway. I look at it this way. I'm not expecting people to go, "Oh, this gets to Jim a statue." I've always said the same thing. I'll criticize the things they do I don't like. I'll defend the things that they're getting criticized for that I think's unfair. So I didn't like the redundancies, but the club has to run in an efficient way. I blame the idiots that employed people that we couldn't afford. That's who I'm angry at. And I always give the example, I'm a YouTuber. If I suddenly employ too many people where the outgoings cost more than what we make as incomings, if I then leave the Football Terrace and someone buys it and they go, "Oh my God, we're going to have to get rid of 10 members of staff because Terry overstaffed us," the new owners are not scumbags for removing those people. I'm the scumbag for overemploying. It's just we're not. I'm not the one who's delivering that bad message, and I've always stood on that as an example. Not that I'm a fan of the fact we had to do it, but that's why I always wanted to remain patient. And again, I love this deal. I'm equally not sitting here and saying I knew they'd always deliver 100%. I was always right. This is amazing. We're now the best club in the world. No, because there's so much more for them to do. And even if they get Baleba, even if they went and got Donnarumma, even if we came 5th or 4th next year and won an FA Cup, I'm still saying we're not challenging for the league title. More. And even when we're at the top, let's maintain it. And you should always keep that pressure on. But what I would say to people, and I've said it all along, is I wouldn't be making any overarching conclusions first. I would stay. That my view is just to stay open-minded. So absolutely. On Baleba himself, how good a deal, how good a sign-in, KJ, do you think this can be for Man United?
He would be a transformative signing for our midfield. He would make our midfield work so much better because he would have the energy and the speed and the PMP that we need in that midfield, coupled with the technical ability, the ability to dribble past players, the ability to play the long ball, to play the short pass, to have the football IQ in that midfield that we're sometimes lacking. It can make players like Bruno Fernandes and Kobe Monu be even better in that midfield pivot, because now they've got someone next to them who isn't slow, who isn't rash in the tackle, and who also has a football IQ who can help them in that midfield. He's brilliant. He's absolutely amazing. Obviously, we know what we know what Brighton are like with midfielders. They went from Basuma, who was highly rated when he was at Brighton. Let's not forget. They went from Basuma to Caicedo to Baleba, and the trajectory of all three of those sidelines is just up. Now, Baleba, can he be as good as Caicedo? I believe so. Who will be the better player out of the two? I'm not too sure, but their ceiling is there. And Man United need that ceiling. And plus, you look at his age profile, 21 years old. He has at least one season in the Premier League under his belt, maybe even 2. I'll need to check that just to make sure. But he's not an unknown kid from the backwaters of Cameroon. We're getting it. We're not signing him from a random club from Europe where he's only played like 20 games. He has been playing men's football for a while now. He's been playing football in the Premier League for a while now, and everyone can see his quality and his ability. And it's his quality and ability in our midfield. It just transforms us. it just transforms our midfield to a point where we may not even stress about having a Bruno in there or Kobe in there or someone else in there who maybe ain't got the legs to play in there. Oh, it would just be great. It would just be great. He's a great talent. And if Man United somehow pull this off this summer, then I'm over the moon. And you know what? Even if we don't do it this summer, we just know that we'll be there next summer. You know, we'll be there lurking. So
yeah, that's a real positive in this. It's one of those things where you kind of, I know other people will get involved, but you kind of think, yeah, if we're not getting him now, it'll probably be next year. This says, I still think it might be a spin from INEOS to take attention away from the protests, but I hope I'm wrong. I'll be honest with you. They don't care about the protests. I know it sounds harsh, right? Fair play to everyone who organizes them and goes. But I'm just telling you now, I don't think they give a hoot. Do you know why? Because most of the people that turn up to the ground and protest, then buy their tickets, go in, buy beer, buy a program, buy a pie. They just don't. And I personally don't think it's anything to do with that. But keep protesting, keep making your voices heard. Absolutely. The new Carrington will open on the 8th of August. Yeah, with Baleba and Sesko opening it, cutting the ribbon. That's a joke. I think, sorry, already done that super chat there. We've got a few callers we're going to bring on now. We've got David. David is a United fan making his debut on the Football Terrace right now. What are you saying, David?
How's it going, man? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, all good, my bro. Obviously, I don't think anybody saw this news come in. There's still a long way to go in this still, but United look like they're trying to make big moves, Dave.
Mate, I'd lost all faith in INEOS already, to be honest, with, deleting everyone's packed lunches and everything that they've done. But this summer transfer window, I can't believe what they've done, to be honest. If they pull this one off, then I'm completely turned around with it. I mean, Cunha and Mbeumo, unbelievable signings. I couldn't help but feel that they were it was like putting a set of brand new rims on a Fiat Punto. It wasn't, I'm not saying it wasn't what we needed. I know it fits Amarim's style, but I felt like we need a midfielder. We needed a striker. We defo need a goalkeeper, right? And Mbeumo and Cunha wasn't that. But to now get Mbeumo and Cunha, Sesko looks like he's over the line. Baleba, I mean, they've ticked all the boxes if they pull this off, except the goalkeeper. I mean, it's completely changed how I feel about Man United, to be honest.
You know what? When you said that about like cancelling the lunches or redundancies, nobody liked to see that. Maybe it's because I own businesses. I looked at some of the cutbacks, like the free lunches, and I thought, well, 99.9% of the country don't get it. Turns out barely any of the other football clubs give out free lunches. And I did look a lot of it and go, no one likes to see anybody lose a job. That all being said, we were actually doing things that maybe are a little bit dated and a little bit costly, and are one of the reasons why we're not competing. But that
totally,
all that aside,
but we're not like other football clubs, man.
Well, yes, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's got to be affordable. No football club should employ people that are not needed. Like that for me is crazy. But I hear you. But what they did say is we're doing this because there isn't enough money to continue to operate in this way as a business.
Totally.
And to buy the players that we need. And I know that I've seen a lot of rivals do this. Oh my God, you're a disgrace. You're only buying players because you made people redundant. Well, this is the long and the short of it. If we carried on operating in that way, losing money again backwards, eventually there'd be no jobs. If we stop operating well as a football club, there is no business. Everyone loses their job. So what I won't be is pulled into that kind of that pseudo moralistic bullshit by rivals, because at the end of the day, we've made all those people redundant and we still employ more than the rest of those fuckers.
Yeah. To be fair to Radcliffe, he did say that, didn't he? He says if this continues, we can't sustain it.
Yeah.
What worried me was when Gary Neville suggested that why don't you just do a charity function for Bruno and did you remember that part?
Yeah, for the legends.
And he was like, no one suggested that. That's a good idea. That was worrying. It's like,
I agree.
Us three could have suggested that. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, who have you got working for? So I had lost faith a little bit, but with this summer transfer window, if this is real with Baleba, I mean, just unbelievable.
How good a player, Dave, do you think he'll be? What do you think he'll do for the team and the system?
I mean, Brighton, they seem to be the midfield masters. They find midfielders, right?
Yeah.
Casado, Basuma. Who else have I missed? There's got to be one more, isn't there? But they seem to find midfielders left, right, and centre. So anyone that's played for them in midfield seems to be a good signing. I think Basuma's been good for Spurs. He's been a bit injury prone. I mean, Casado's been unbelievable. Mate, our midfield's been a problem now for over a decade. That's not even me exaggerating.
No, that's true.
Yeah, since Michael Carrick, we haven't fixed the issue.
Yeah.
I despise Ten Hag, but he was onto something with Frankie de Jong. He was. He's a player that you can pass the ball to him anywhere, wherever you want, and he can deal with it. He can slow it down. He makes the correct pass. But Frankie de Jong just did not want us. And then we went and got Casemiro. No offense, he works hard, but that's not what we needed. We just haven't fixed this mid. I watched the game against Everton the other day. Yes, when Mbumo, Cunha, all that looked scintillating, to be honest. It was exciting. But Mainu and Ugarte in midfield, the core, the heartbeat, it's not going to work, man. If you haven't got a spine, it don't matter what you've got to the left and right of you. It ain't going to work. So that's what I feel like he will bring. A bit more of a spine to our team. So these players, these embellishment players that we've signed can actually shine. Cunha already looks a bit upset, if I'm honest. Like it's not working for him because, the midfield's an issue. It's a major, major issue. And I believe this will fix it. It's energy, it's youth, it's enthusiasm. I know Mainu has that. I just don't feel like Mainu, that's his best position.
I hear you on that. Dave, listen, great call, great points. And obviously we'll be seeing you again soon, my man. Chat soon.
Thanks for letting me in, mate. Speak to you guys soon.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Aiden is with us now. Aiden's a United fan as well. What are you saying, brother?
Nothing much. Just when this Baleba news came out, I was starstruck. KJ put it in the chat and I was like, hold on a second. Baleba's been the idea of a dream for Man United to sign. No one thought it was even possible. So the fact the club are actually going for players that will improve our team, because under the Glazers we went for big names. Over INEOS the past 2 seasons, last season and this season, Euro was considered impossible. He's going Real Madrid, done deal, but then we got him. Cunha was seen as unlikely during the season. We got him. And Buemo dragged on for weeks. We got him. So with INEOS, there's a structure that we are getting these players, and they're seeing a vision. Because Sesko, as we saw, he's only wanted United. So with INEOS, we're actually going for 4 players who want to come to United and believe in us. And if we get Baleba into that midfield, even if it's not this summer, if it's next summer, I think players value when you value them. So if we say to him, we want you, but we could possibly not this summer, but if we go from next summer, he'll be like, they wanted me last summer as well. That possibly could play a part in the deal if we don't get him this summer. But if we get Baleba in this team, it'll completely transform that midfield. It'll give us the legs in midfield that we need. Because to be honest, Kobe and Ugarte, they've got legs, but those two as a pivot do not work. Bruno with whoever, it just doesn't work. So we need someone at Baleba's level to come into midfield and help out. So.
No, listen, I agree. It is a dream move. And a lot of us, I'm seeing United fans on the timeline. People, I can't stop smiling. This would be amazing. Because we all know how I think I was very content with fixing the attack. And okay, let's address the midfield next year. Maybe we buy a little bit of a stopgap. If we do this as well, at the end of the day, what we said already about INEOS, none of us have been completely happy with the way they've operated so far, the lack of progression, the way we played last year and performed. But in terms of the transfer window and the quality of player, this is a fantastic response to that. More of the same, please. But let's go and get this done. Aiden, legend for coming on, my friend. And we'll chat again soon, my G. Top man. Sunshine's with us. Sunshine's also a Manchester United fan. Big up, bro.
Yes, team.
Mate, I quote tweeted that account earlier, said, I can't believe this. You were like, it's too far-fetched. Within 2 seconds of you tweeting that, Ornstein dropped his tweet. And I was checking if it was fake Ornstein, evil Ornstein. And listen, I know it isn't done. I know it isn't even personal terms agreed or anything yet. But did this give you a sense of hope, Sunshine? How does it make you feel?
I mean, again, against the contrary, I believe that INEOS have been doing the right things. I think they've got 80 out of the 100% things right, more than they have. Don't get me wrong. Some of the decisions are uncomfortable, but just because things are uncomfortable, you don't like them, doesn't mean it's correct for the future. So I'm in that camp. I've been a supporter of what INEOS have done so far in terms of their intentions and their structure and their ideology. when they're going for players like Baleba, which is again players that we need, to the magnitude of what it is, it's not a case of we're just getting a story saying, "Oh, Manchester United are interested in Baleba." It's no, we're actually having talks. No, we're actually moving forward. We're actually open to try and move things forward for the future. It's like they're serious. So whether we get him or not is another conversation. But the simple fact that we are making honest and authentic attempts to get players like this, even after we've just landed Seshko and everything else, to me, mate, I don't. Again, unless were super INEOS out and didn't think that they could do any of this, there's enough qualitative data there so far to say, you know what, they are doing the opposite of what most people assumed they were going to do, and because of that, you now have to then look at yourself and go, you know what, I was happy with my judgment of INEOS, but they are seemingly proving me wrong, and you should want that if you're putting Man United first. That's just a fact. If not, it's about your ego and pride, and you're going to find other ways and angles to, to crap all over INEOS, and that's fine. That's up to you. But for me, if we get Baleba, and I think it could be in January. I don't think we're getting him this year unless we sell players. I mean, I can't see how we get a deal off because other teams, let's be honest, there'll be other teams who are UCL, and Baleba is a player that would probably go to an Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, even a City, and they've got more weight, they've got more scope to go and grab that Baleba and pay up the money now this season. So it's like again, sorry for this, but it is like Newcastle going in for Šeško and Mbeumo and Kuna. That's the situation Man United would be in if we go for Baleba, given the fact that Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea could get him as well. But that being said, I rate the ambition and the fact, like I said, it's not just a case of we're interested, it's a case of we're actually trying to actively move. I respect that enough to say, well done, INEOS.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we know how good a player he is. There's a lot of people suggesting that this could be the end of Bruno. Maybe it's the end of Mainu if we're going to get this done. Do you see either leaving to potentially fund this deal?
I think Bruno stays maybe 2 seasons, and I think you probably get about 50 million for Bruno, depending on what happens. And I think it's more so the replacement for Casemiro, given the wage structure. I think Bruno and Casemiro, the oldest in the midfield, they are players that are ultimately coming towards the end of their professional career. Bruno seems to be fit enough to continue to go, so he'll probably play until he's 33, 34. Casemiro's losing his legs in that respect, so I think the obvious replacement would be Casemiro, given his wages and the fact that Bruno has such an impact in that team in multiple ways, on and off the pitch. I just can't see it being for Bruno. However, with that being said, I do believe when Bruno's time comes, Kobe and Baleba, if he comes, would be perfect for us. Mello, why are you trying to get involved, bro? He's gas. Yeah. So I think that ultimately will be the replacement for long-term Bruno. But I think short-term, if we get him this season, it'll be for Casemiro next year. Bruno then leaves the next year after.
You can't sign Baleba and be like, all right, cool, Manny, you can go now, because he is the perfect partner.
Yeah.
For Kobe Mainu, he started to play.
Yeah.
Someone who wants to get on the ball further up the pitch, driving the ball further up the pitch, and have some cover.
But maybe look, throwing this out, food for thought. Bruno has said in the last few days that he wants to do at least one more year at Man United. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can look at this and say, the club can talk to Bruno, his representatives, talk to the teams in Saudi and say, look, we are going to have to keep Bruno for another year, but how about you buy him before the end of June? And we'll give you a slight discount. That way, we could potentially, so rather than the 100 million you want to pay now, maybe we do an 80 million pound deal. But you buy Bruno, but you do it before the end of June. So from a PSR perspective, we're okay. But then we get Bruno for this season when we might still need. And then next summer, your focus could be fixing that creativity. And these deals definitely happen in that way in terms of gentlemen's agreements and those kind of conversations. And it is a risk. But that's the kind of risk I want to see the club take. Not a punt on a player that's got no chance of being any good, but take a little risk like that. That's another way of potentially funding this, and we'll see. I ain't got long left, but Sunshine, thank you, bro, for calling in. I appreciate it massively. Top man. Ashes, see you later, mate. Look after yourself, brother. Ash is with us. Ash is a Newcastle fan. Commiserations first and foremost, Ash.
For God's sake, of course you'll be happy about this. Right. A few things. Like I said, I told you my anxiety towards Seshko was going up as these days have been going on. It's kind of weird that we've not pulled out with the deal yet still. which I'm pretty sure they gave him a deadline until Wednesday, and then said we were going to pull out. And obviously today is Wednesday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday morning. Yeah,
and it's still I don't know. It's still no news to do with that. I know there's been rumors and stuff that we're going to go for Malik Chow, which we were meant to be going in last season for. So hopefully we can get that over the line because it's looking about £30 million or something like that, which would be an amazing defender from AC Milan. I'm kind of hoping that we're going to pivot towards Samu from Porto. He's a massive centre forward, and I think he would be a great. He's similar to Sesko in like he's only 21. He's got a big future in front of him. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to go down that route. But I know you guys are going to be absolutely buzzing over this.
Nah, we're doing good. Question: do you think Newcastle to finally get one over United, should they try and sign Baleba and blow us out the water financially?
That's the one area they don't need a player.
and that'll be such Newcastle. You need players in other areas, but they get the one that in one that they don't.
I don't think we're going to be going in for Baleba. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would love to have Brighton scouting team because it's absolutely insane what they've been doing over the past few years. I've got nothing but good things to say about them. But yeah, I don't know. To be honest, today has been a bit of a strange one as a Newcastle fan because obviously all the teams now back at Trent at Denton from the courier trip. They basically had all the family over during the training. They all had like ice cream and stuff like that out there, and Isak wasn't allowed into the training ground at this time. He's been allowed in like in the afternoon where we've seen him. I think he's gone to have a chat with Eddie Howe and stuff and been training on his own. So I really would like to see what's going to come out of all of this because obviously that's going to affect whether he goes to Liverpool or not. But yeah, we might end up keeping Isak for another season, to be fair, by the looks of this.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. Ash, did you drop us that message on socials yesterday? Did you do that?
On Instagram, I did, buddy.
Yes, I'll go and check it out and find it, mate, and then I'll message you back. Listen, Ash, thanks for calling in, mate. I appreciate it a lot. Top man. Thank you. Fabrizio has just said this on his YouTube channel. He said that Man United told Brighton they have a serious interest in Baleba. Everyone involved sees the deal as very difficult, but not impossible. The player hasn't closed the door to Man United, which I don't really know what that means. I do know what it means, but it's an interesting way of phrasing it. Ray, what do you want to say, Ray?
Oh, big up, guys. How are you, man?
Very, very good.
Yes. Whoa, well, I'm kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Baleba, where I've been dreaming about this kid playing for United for a while, and I'm thinking, oh, is it real? And then I see the big men there dropping the story, and I'm thinking, this is absolutely real, you know. And you know, I not in it out, but I am not a fan of INEOS. But I've always said, you know, it's like in life, if someone you're not a fan of, but does things to say, well, look, I'm sorry what I've done, but here's a little smoother, here's a little smoother, here's a little smoother, and you get it done, my mind will change and say, okay, look, in the beginning, we had a rocky relationship, but you smoothed everything out, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is bringing in the talent that will raise Manchester United up from the depth. I'm down with it. And what I've seen this season, yeah, we did take a long time on Bumo, but we're actually buying players that are going to improve the team because we're not just going, oh well, we're splashing 90 million on Pogba and that's it. We're actually looking at players now, and that's something we've not done, and that's something I've been crying for all the time. Don't just give me Pogba and go, you know what, that's the summer, yeah, that's it, let's go home. No. Give me these players that you've
I think as well, the beautiful thing is, and I think why people are excited, even if you're not a fan of Amorim, even if you don't like three at the back, even if you don't like our system, you can see who we're buying is for the system. And I think if we go back through the years, and we were all excited when Cass came in, but we learned a lesson from that as fans. Hang on, we went from De Jong to Cass. How many times have we been linked to a certain profile of player? and then the next person the alternative is very different from them. We haven't really done that. If you look at the number 9s we've gone for, there's a fair consistency in their approach. Ekitike is probably the only one that's a little different. If you think about the 10s we were looking at, it was Mbumo, it was Cunha, it was Semenyo. You look at Semenyo and Mbumo especially, there is a similarity there. We got Cunha straight away, so we don't know who the other targets were. And I just think that is really significant, that we're buying the right people for the right system. I do. Ray, listen, mate, I appreciate you calling in and all the support you give the channel with your comments. I am sorry, people, I can't take any more calls tonight. We are transferring you right now. We're redirecting you to the United stand. They're going live right now with Mark Goldbridge. So get yourselves across there. Get yourselves over there, because, listen, it is a very exciting time to be a Manchester United fan right now. And dare I say it, we could be back. That's a bit of a joke. Everybody who's tuned in, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Go over there and support Mark in the United stand, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.